DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Running Your DJ Business with KC with special guest Matt Windsor.
Hello.
Hey, hello, Matt. Welcome to the show, my good friend.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for sitting in. Brian Bonacisi is actually in Ireland, I believe. He attended, and he does all of the entertainment, like DJ entertainment, voiceover stuff at the Engage Summit, which was in Ireland this past week. And he was rubbing elbows, I think, with Colin Cowie and some of the England, Ireland's greatest event planners and such. So do you know what Engaged is? Are you familiar with it?
I actually am not, no.
Engaged is a very, very high-end version of Wedding NBA.
Okay.
It's like $2,500 to attend it. They hold it in nothing but five-star resorts. They held it at the Five Seasons at Disney. They held it in Italy. He's been to London with it. He's been to Mexico, Mexico, I think. But if you Google it, and it's called the Engaged Summit.
Okay.
If you Google it, the videos are just, I mean, they're mind blowing. They're just
Engaged Summit. Okay, yeah, I will.
Engaged Summit. They're absolutely mind scrambling. So it's exciting. And Brian went as an attendee, kind of learned the language, and then turned around and worked his way into the mix. And he's been supplying DJ services for them for, I would say, like a year or so now. And it's the right type of event planners that he's looking for. Because if you don't know, but a lot of our listeners do, Brian is a jet set DJ. He's always flying all over God's green earth, and he's selling himself like a celebrity-style DJ just to the private event sector. So he's got a sizable price tag that includes his rider, which includes all of his stuff, and then he makes arrangements for the back-of-house stuff locally wherever he's working, and he goes in, rocks that party, and then gets on a plane. He played Sundance. I know he's trying to play South by Southwest this March, and he's done all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Living the life, huh?
Yeah, he's digging it quite a bit. So, and he's a super talented guy. So super talented guy. So, so that's what's going on with Brian. So now some people, a handful of people probably know who you are from the Chicago market. Because you used to be the president of the Chicago ADJA. And then you also spoke at the Marquee show this past summer, which was fantastic.
Yep.
And so tell people kind of your background and who you are and where you're at now and kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people nationally would probably remember me back from the days I was the national demonstrator for Denon. So I was at DJ Times, DJ Expo. I was at the DJ News conference that we did in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I used to demo and spin on Denon products for them. Okay. Back when they were owned by D&M. No, but so I started helping another person, being their general manager, running their company, growing their DJ business and starting their lighting division and growing that to what it was. About when my daughter was born 9 years ago, I decided it was time for me to branch off on my own, opened up a Posh production, and I only had the mind of being a single op. And I guess it just got me excited, and we became a big multi-op company. We got big into the lighting and decor arena. During that time, myself and another guy started a photo activation agency. So we essentially do social media photo booths that one of the things on our websites, it's built for brands, not weddings. We actually don't do weddings with that company.
Right.
But Posh was strictly weddings. And I sold Posh about a year ago to the person who was working as my general manager while I was building the other company. And since then, been building Tag Prints.
Gotcha. So Tag Prints is a social media corporate activation company, and give everybody an idea of who your clientele is.
Yeah. So we mainly work with Fortune 500 companies such as like Coca-Cola, CDW, Verizon. We've got booths all over the MLB, the NBA. I think every sports team in Chicago is now a client of ours. So it's been a lot of fun. Good deal. And essentially, so you're giving the attendees a unique and fun experience, and then allowing the brand itself to take advantage of the activation in their social network. Is that correct? Yeah, exactly. So we kind of bring in, we have different options such as photo kiosks. We have an array, which is 13 cameras. It takes the same photo at the same time, stitches it together. We've got professional photographers. In fact, we just hired Rahm Emanuel's personal photographer to work for us. So he's going to be shooting.
For those of you outside of Chicago that may not know it, Rahm Emanuel's our mayor.
Yes.
So
Chicago mayor, not for long though.
You there? My
I'm here.
internet just said that it's unstable.
Mine?
I don't know what just happened.
You're frozen. If you can hear me. You there?
Back? Yeah,
Yeah,
now
I'm
we're back. Okay. All of a sudden, my computer said that my connection was unstable, and then it just recycled itself. So
yeah, you're frozen, so I just restarted.
Okay, got it. Very good. All right. Sorry about that, folks, but technology, it happens every once in a great while. So you the last thing that I had heard was that you hired Rahm Emanuel, who's our mayor, for those of you outside of Chicago that don't know it.
I hired his photographer, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So although you could hire Rahm soon, he'll be out of a job come January, right?
Yeah. What are the elections in a week or so?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So there's that, to which even though we're from Chicago, neither one of us will be voting in that because we live in the suburbs outside of it.
Yeah. And a city mayor in like Chicago is more important, unfortunately, than our governor, I feel.
I would tend to agree, or definitely more popular.
Yeah.
So you've got this activation company, and now you and I talked earlier, and one of the new exciting things that you're going to start offering to a select group of young entrepreneurs is?
Yeah. So I've been kind of coaching a buddy of mine in the Chicagoland area. And a lot of friends reach out to me with, ideas for their DJ company, and I've been helping them grow them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer for select cities in the United States, one person per city that's going to allow me to kind of coach them to help them grow their business and kind of understand how I've grown my businesses. I started with Posh, which was a $5,000 loan to my parents, from my parents to buy lighting. And I turned it into what it was. I think we were doing around, it wasn't huge, but we were doing around $450, $500 a year.
Right.
And then Tag Prints, I started with an $80,000 loan from myself, from Posh, and we're doing really good. We've definitely broke through the ceiling at the $1 million mark and keep going from there.
Good.
Yeah, it's so being able to use my expertise on building companies and understanding how to talk to brides. I'm very good at connecting emotionally with brides before their wedding and during the whole sales process. And then not also that, but going through, the sales process and then understanding how to handle do everything with the bride during the whole planning process, at the wedding, after the wedding, and then far after the wedding to continue to build your brand.
Right. So let's talk about some of the basics without giving away your secret sauce. Let's start back at the basics. So somebody's brand new in the business, and what would you say are the key things that he or she need to do to establish themselves right away? What would your advice be?
Well, the first thing I did when I started Posh was I reached out to every bride that I DJ'd a wedding for before I started my own company. And I'm sure, a lot of people started with someone else. Hopefully you have that good relationship with the person that you used to work for that would allow those brides to give you a review, or I'm sure you've done stuff on the side for friends and whatnot. And that's how I started. I had relationships with a lot of people. I did their weddings, and they went ahead, they started reviewing me. And then I hit the ground running with marketing. I was really big on making sure my website was appealing to the type of clientele that I'm looking for. I knew that the brides love to go to the knot.com and weddingwire.com. So if you go to my website, or if you go to my old website, A Posh Production, which I've sold that company, it mirrors the Wedding Wire Knot look, or at least it did when we went ahead and started, or when we built it. And that was very eye-catching to the bride. And then, going through everything, when they email you, so many people I've seen send just generic emails with the pricing in the email and, hi, Susie Bride, congratulations on your engagement. Here are our pricing. But creating a dialogue with them and creating conversations with them before you even give them any pricing. So many times they've said, yeah, great, let's book a meeting. The pricing wasn't any important to them because they realized how much I cared about them and their wedding, and would ask them questions and do all my research on the venue before I even reached out to them. If you come in knowledge, the bride's gonna feel that. Right.
I agree. I think that if you give a generic sales pitch, you're going to get a generic re-answer.
Right.
Or a generic response, I should say. Mm-hmm. So don't be surprised by it. That's the biggest thing that, and I'll say that we use a series of a drip campaign, which have got some generic stuff in there. But at the same point in time, I'll shoot a bride a typical, hi, how are you? And then after that, I'll tell them in that same email, I'm going to drop you the corporate email. It's going to have everything, but we structure it that way so that we cover all the things that we feel are important for you. Mm-hmm. Kind of go from so that's that.
Yeah, smart, very smart.
Yeah. So we're talking. So we start by reaching out to, if you've worked for another company.
Yep.
Let's say you didn't work for another company. Let's say you just moved to Topeka, Kansas.
Yep.
Okay. What would your advice be to somebody starting in Topeka, Kansas?
Well, to tell you the truth, I got started by meeting other DJ companies and other owners of other DJ companies. And I proved myself to them and showed myself as, knowledgeable in this industry, eager to work, eager to learn. And I let them know, like, hey, if there's anything I can ever do for you, I would love to come under your name. I'd show up as a DJ from the other company that I was working for.
So and you label yourself, right?
And I just started to create relationships with these people to kind of understand. I mean, if you're just jumping in the DJ industry, I really think weddings are the most important day you can be given of someone. It's not like clubs. It's not like bars. It's not like corporate. I think weddings, there's no do-overs. And I think learning is the most important things, watching videos like this, reading books, following, people like Mike Walters and everyone else.
Right. Yeah, there's no question. For me, I've always been an education junkie. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before. In 1989, a guy named Ciamato from Sounds Music did the first DJ Expo that I ever knew about. And he wound up doing it it was at the Holiday Inn Itasca.
Okay.
His whole purpose was for brand loyalty. That's what he was hoping for.
Okay.
DJs would see that he was putting on this expo. But for me, it gave me the excitement and the strength to go out and start my own company. So I gave my 2-week notice shortly thereafter. And that was it. And I started my first company. And then DJ Times was here in 1992. And I attended that and then really drank from the fire hose.
Okay.
So, and again, technology is different. There's still tons of great stuff, but even right here on the Disc Jockey News Network, I mean, you go to their YouTube page, you can find just about anything that you have a question for, from bridal show booths to blogging to SEO to social media. I mean, there's so much available to you now. So when I see somebody that I feel is poorly educated in this business, it's truly because they've chosen not to get involved as opposed to anything else.
Absolutely. And you bring up a good point of networking and meeting the people that are going to be your competitors. I think that's the most important thing. As you know, Casey and I actually live a stone's throw away from each other.
Yeah, we're blocks from each other. It's crazy.
And our offices are a few minutes from each other.
Correct.
And
one of my old offices was literally doors down from your office.
Yeah. Yep. Right there on you. But it's the whole area. We know I like to say we know all the good guys.
Right.
And I think that's important. Create those relationships with the people that can really work with you and throw you events when they're too busy, if they're single ops.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, and I think it's changed too with social media. That or it's social media and I've gotten older, because it seems like the whole protectiveness of all of your staff and everything else has changed. That or again, I've been dealing with the same friends in the industry for so many years that if they need me, I'm there for them. And if I need them, I know that I can pick up the phone and call and they'll cover me, or they'll do everything they can to cover me and kind of go from that point of view. So it's different. It's very, very different.
Yep. Exactly.
So, okay. So you're suggesting immediately networking,
correct?
Right?
Yep.
So step one would be networking. Step two is to create an on-brand website as your first major investment outside of your equipment, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. Is that's going to really be the first thing that brides are going to look at is your website.
Right. And actually, folks, I would say if you're going to do it, I would probably do the website before even buying gear, because no one's asking to see your gear, hear your gear. You could team up with another DJ and subcontract them to do AV for you. Or once you have those contracts in, you can start buying gear with those deposits. So
nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Step three, you said then, is to create a marketing budget. Now, things are changing every single day. And I know that when you started, which wasn't too differently than when I had to restart my company, when I had my falling out with my partner, the Knot and Wedding Wire were very different places. It was more the Wild West than it is today. And today it's feeling more and more like China, where everybody's on top of each other on there.
Yeah, it's very.
So do you feel that advertising on a traditional wedding website is still important, or would you choose to spend more marketing dollars on social media?
Oh, I'm not going to knock Wedding Wire.
I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not saying, but for the bottom line, you've got $10 and you need to spend it somewhere. Where would you spend it?
I would find the venue that you'd want to work at and see if you can take the venue manager out for coffee.
Okay.
Or I'd bring them coffee or introduce yourself, take that $10 and every time you have it, start introducing yourself to venues and the people that could refer you.
Right. No, I don't disagree. I'm a big fan of doing banquet hall visits, and I do pop-ins. Okay. I know some people are against pop-ins, but I'm not trying to pitch them. I'm just trying to say hello, throw my brand out there, drop off some cards, and I'll usually bring tins of cookies or candy or things along those lines. So it's a quick, hi, how are you? How's everything going? If they have time, they can engage me in conversation.
Right. If
they don't have time, it was great to see you. We're just out knocking on doors, and they get it because they're out hustling too all the time.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. But then if you went on the whole marketing side, you have your website built, you want to start doing some marketing. I'd start looking at AdWords, to tell you the truth. AdWords has always been good to me.
Okay.
With tag prints, we've got it locked down. I know my predecessor or my successor, the person who I hired to buy my company, he's doing AdWords and he's doing very well with it. He told me it's as long as I think you know how to use it, it's beneficial.
Right. Gotcha. And wedding magazines, your opinion?
It really depends.
Okay.
I'm not really a big fan of the venues that want you to advertise to be in there. I think I forget the name of the company.
Hawthorne Publications.
Hawthorne Publishing, yes.
Sure.
It worked for a while. There was a couple venues that used us, but then we found out that it didn't matter if you were in their brochure; they were referring who they really liked.
Right. There's always a secondary list.
Yep, exactly. And the secondary list is always going to be the one they're going to tell you about.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, it certainly doesn't hurt to have a presence in the Hawthorne book. I know it's a big chunk of money a lot of times, and we've done it and gotten nothing out of it, and we've done it and gotten a ton out of it. So
got it. Yeah, I think it depends on the venue.
Correct, and how much they're really going to. I mean, let's be honest. If a venue is going to commit to a Hawthorne-styled book,
right,
they need to commit to it. That's the bottom line. So if they commit to it and that's the only way, then I think you're in really good shape. But if they're going to have a secondary list, quite honestly, in my opinion, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Right.
But,
well, it's also to pick those venues. I mean, obviously, there's tons and tons of venues that you can choose from. And I started to get really picky about the ones I would choose to advertise in. And one of the things was, I'm not going to do the venues that do one wedding a week. I really looked and saw, who's busy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, who had multiple rooms at their venue. Sure. As a multi-op, we wanted to,
you wanted volume.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. No, I get it. I totally get it. And if that's a business plan you're doing, then so
right.
be it.
Right.
So, Jody Harris popped on and says, I hate the Hawthorne book. Again, I can't say that I agree with Jody and I disagree with Jody because it's not Hawthorne. Hawthorne's not the one you really should have a problem with.
No.
Hawthorne's created a marketing opportunity for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the venue itself. If the venue itself doesn't respect the relationship that they've put in, then I think you've got room to gripe and such.
Right.
So that's all. And I think that's something that the owner puts together because it doesn't cost him or her anything. And whether their staff follows it or not, I don't know. So hard to say. Okay, so we've got some of our basics down. So we're talking limited budgets. The nice part about AdWords is you can turn it off at any point in time. You're not stuck in a 12-month long contract that if it's not working for whatever reason, because it's not the right fit, you can turn it on, you can turn it off, and kind of go from there. Same thing with ads on social media.
Yep, Facebook.
Your budgets, you can target market geographically where you want to go, what you want to do, and kind of go from there.
And additionally, you can drive that target market down even smaller. Like Casey puts on the Windy City Wedding Show, and it's an awesome show for anyone that's ever in Chicago and visits it. And you get a lead list at the end of the show with everyone's email addresses. And not a lot of people know this. You can put those email addresses into Facebook, and it will only target those people that have those email addresses registered on Facebook. And it's such a target, small target, that it's like 5 cents a person.
Right. The trick is if you can get them to actually give you their legitimate email.
Right.
Because sometimes they do Susie and Bill wedding 2019, and that's not going to match with anybody at Facebook. So that's all. So don't go thinking like this is gold. It's a tool, but it's not the tool, and that's what everyone's got to remember.
Exactly. You'll out of a list of like 100, you'll maybe get 40.
Right.
And those are 40 people that that they're looking for a vendor for their wedding. Why not hit them for a couple cents?
Sure. No, I totally agree. I totally 100% agree. At the same point in time, I also believe in still doing emails. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, nobody likes it, spam, but there's more cost-effective way of doing it. I mean, that's the bottom line. So DJ Ab Alley has a question. Guys, I am in the market for uplighting. Most of my clients for next year have been asking about uplighting. What's your opinion on additional prices and brands? So I'm not going to get into any specific brands other than there are a ton of them out there. What I would do is if I were to invest in more lighting today, I would definitely be buying battery, and make sure that your mixing allows you to do amber, because there's no question that amber is probably the most popular for a truly high-end, truly elegant wedding. They're not going to do my super sweet 16 pink or a raging purple. They're going to do an amber. So whatever you buy, make sure that I'm not super technical. Was it RGBA? Is that RGBI? Did I lose you, Matt? I don't have any audio.
Oh, I pressed the mute button.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So there's RGB, so red, green, blue, and then A would be amber, W would be white, and then UV.
Right. In UV, you're not going to use all that often, except for maybe this time of year when you're doing some Halloween parties and such. So
you can get some good purples once you mix UV with blue and red.
Right. Now, Abe just said, yeah, battery powered for sure. You know, I'll agree with you and I'll disagree with you. And it just depends on the deal you get. If you can find somebody selling regular, plain old school lights and you're going to get a really good deal, I mean, it's got to be a good deal. I would definitely would take a look at it. So everybody loves the battery powered because it's convenient for them. So I'm not saying that it's right or it's wrong, but it's just one of those things. So Jody Harris asks about snail mail. You know, I do snail mail for Windy City Wedding Show, and I'll tell you, I don't know that it's working. And the reason for it is there's no question that fewer and fewer wedding vendors are doing it, but I can only speak for myself. And I'll admit I'm a 49-year-old man. I get almost all of my bills are on auto pay and are emailed to me. So with the exception of Christmas and around my birthday, I know that 90% of my mail is going to be junk mail. Mm-hmm. So when I go through it, if it looks like junk mail, I'm pitching it. And that means 4-color as well. So my advice to anyone that's trying to do snail mail, there's no question it'll be delivered. And there's no question that it has a 100% open rate because people have to look at it before they throw it in the garbage. I would definitely try to not make it look like every other piece of mail in there. So one of the things that I'm going to do next year for the bridal shows is we're going to do an invitation in an envelope and have it printed on the front so that it looks like it was indeed specifically hand targeted for Matt Windsor. So when he looks at it and goes, I wonder what this is, he takes a minute, he opens it up, and that's that. And that's my personal opinion.
I used to have one of the girls that worked for me. She used to write out the addresses on a card or on the envelope of the card, and then she would write a handwritten letter to each. Are you there?
I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah. You froze for a second. She would write a handwritten card to each bride. And it actually helped because they would actually open it up.
Oh, there's no question the personalization and taking those little minutes definitely makes a difference. And again, the whole theory behind it is how do you stand out from everybody else? Mm-hmm. So in a room full of Kardashians, be a Princess Diana. Stand out and make yourself different.
Yep.
So there's no question about that. Okay, so magazines. What about bridal shows?
I love bridal shows.
I do too. I'm a big fan.
One thing I love. Okay, so I've done a bunch of bridal shows throughout Chicago. I've done small ones. I've done big ones. I've done medium-sized ones. I participated in them. One thing that KC does really well, and I'd recommend to find a bridal show that does this, is at least the first bridal show I ever did, they kind of had people going like a herd of cows through this aisle. And these brides, all they wanted to do was get their card stamped so they could be entered to win a prize. And you didn't get any good conversations. But with KC's show, and I'd suggest looking for shows in your area like this, the brides have free reign. They don't have to go into the vendor area. They don't have to come up and see you. So the type of people you talk to are really quality people, and you can create relationships. And a little secret, create the relationship with the mother of the bride. Mm-hmm. If you get in with the mother of the bride, you're golden.
Right. I'm a big fan of having an open floor plan. And the reason for it is a lot of bridal show promoters do have a herded cattle kind of a thing. And I understand it. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I just choose to do it differently. It works for them. And a lot of people like it. And at the same point in time, a lot of them like the passport style bingo card on the back where everybody has to sign it. And again, and I get that too. My whole argument as a bridal show producer, and I wouldn't do those types of shows as a vendor. I don't want to have conversations with people that don't want to have conversations with me. And I don't want people to feel pressured to keep moving. And so if I have a bride and groom that want to talk DJ and I want to ooze my personality in an effort to get them to engage with me, that's what I want. You know, I want my 11-second elevator speech and something that's going to make them remember me out there. Again, I'm not saying it's right or whether it's wrong, but one of the things that no one will argue when it comes to bridal shows at all is that no other format gives you an interactive moment with a bride and groom, or what I should say, wedding couple. And so that's the thing about it. So, and the other thing is this, folks, remember, today's millennial brides are looking for an experience. So the question being is, in your booth, how are you creating that experience? That doesn't mean it has to be hokey, but it's just, how are you getting yourself to stand out amongst everybody else so they remember you, so that when you do a thank you for stopping by our booth email on Sunday night or on Monday, they go, oh yeah, this was the guy. I'm gonna save this email and put it in my wedding folder. And go from that point of view. So, what else with your consulting? What are some of the other, again, without stealing the secret sauce? What are you thinking?
Yep. So I'm just going to talk more, like I said, about, before or during the sales process, how to email those brides, little tools that can be used, such as knowing when brides open up your emails. We all know that, they email you right when they get engaged, and then they take a 6-month hiatus from planning, and after they book their venue, and then they're looking for that DJ again. So you can get little alerts in your email that lets you know, like, hey, Susie Bride just opened up your email. And she's back in planning mode. And you can go ahead and email her again. She's going to be like, oh my God, I was just thinking about your company. And it's like,
sure,
I knew that. But, stuff like that. And then talking to them when you emailing them, creating a conversation, talking about their venue. If I know they were at a certain venue and I know the people that work there, I'll say, hey, are you working with Tara at this venue? I love this place, and create like a memory. I did a wedding once there and it was so much fun, or something like that.
Right.
And even though we all know a venue is a venue for the most part, if it's a harder venue, you go ahead and you scout it out beforehand. But brides like to know you've been there before. They like to know the place, you've done your research. It just makes them feel more at ease. And then once you get them in the office, one of the things I love to do are my mock bridal presentations or sales, where I just create relationships. That's my whole thing, is creating a relationship with the bride and the groom. And then also getting them to realize, at least what I did at Posh was, I didn't make it seem like they were there to get sold to. Right. I made it seem like, hey, we're a company that's really particular about who we work with, and we want to make sure that not only do you believe we're a perfect fit for you, or that you believe we're a perfect fit for you, but that we believe we are a perfect fit for you as well. Because you don't want to have someone at your wedding that wouldn't do the best job. And it's been funny because at the end of the wedding, or at the end of the consultation, they've been like, so will you work with us?
Right.
Well, yeah. I think I told one bride no.
Right. That was my sister, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
I wouldn't work with her either, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Anyhow, how do you feel about blogging? Are you a big blogger? Were you a big blogger?
I hired someone to blog for me.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. She was a ghostwriter. She also wrote for The Knot.
Okay.
So she would just go in there and blog for me. At that time, it was something that I needed to do. I don't think it's as important anymore.
Now you froze up.
Come on. Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Saying my internet connection is unstable.
Well, if anyone else can hear me, I'm still here. So we were just talking about, creating that relationship with the bride, understanding, how to connect to them on an emotional level, and also with the groom as well. And that's one thing I found myself to always be doing is really creating that emotional relationship with the bride, and then continuing it on during the whole planning process. I would check in with her. I'd always write down notes during our meetings, and ask questions during meetings about her parents and her family and her brother. I would find out, oh, my brother's graduating, college next year. So I would set myself a reminder and say, like, hey, how's your brother doing? Did he graduate college? That type of stuff. Oh, he's back.
I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you froze up, and then it said my internet was unstable.
I just took it over from
I'm sure you were amazing. Absolutely.
We were talking about after the bride is booked, creating the relationship with the bride, the relationship. I was talking about how I write down notes if she told me something, such as, her brother's graduating from college in August. I would write her an email and say, like, hey, how'd it go with your brother graduating? And by the way, how's the planning going? That type of stuff. Always checking in with them, creating a relationship and making them think you're your friend.
Right.
That's the most important thing, because we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Right.
And there's going to be a wedding or two in your life where you're going to accidentally do something wrong. And, hopefully you're good enough that you can save it and fix it. But if you walk into that wedding and you don't even know the bride and groom, and they just booked you because they booked you,
right,
they're going to be angry that you screwed up their first 5 seconds of their first dance.
And let's face it, some brides don't want to have any kind of a relationship with you. Like, that's just the way that it is. So you just have to go in there and crush it the very best that you can.
Absolutely.
And go from there. I had a wedding I'll never forget back in the CD days. We would test every single one of our CDs for all of our specialty dances. And sure enough, I was at Eaglewood Resort, and the first dance locked up. Wow. I had tested it. I didn't have a problem. Everything was good. It locked up, and it was going to go one of two ways. They were either going to laugh it off, or they were going to go mental. And I had a groom. The bride actually was okay. The groom is the one who went totally 100% mental. And we downloaded a quick copy of it. I burned another copy of it, and we wound up apologizing to the room. And there's no point in hiding it. It happens. It's a technical thing, and everybody's had a piece of anything break on them. So that's all.
Look at the technical difficulties we've been having.
Exactly. So, I mean, it happens, and that's just the way that it is. And this groom totally let me have it. I mean, he had his boot on my throat for the rest of the night. Ugh. And I took it, and I did everything I could to make him as happy as I possibly could. And it was crazy sauce. So it just was what it was.
Yeah.
So that's all. So questions that anybody has. So Matt's going to be acting as a consultant for anybody who wants to grow their entertainment company and or photo booth business. I don't think he's going to be telling you how to get into corporate quite the same way he is, but he'll definitely help you grow your business. So questions that you may have for Matt, feel free to punch it on and go. Let's see. Gus has got the show must go on and will go on. Yes. And you know what? The biggest thing too was humility is the reality, in my opinion, was like, he had every right to be pissed. It was his dream day, and I get it. So, where does a DJ business need to be in order to take advantage of Matt's help? So,
out of Chicagoland.
So Chicago. So the rest of the country is wide open right now.
Yep.
So if you are interested, and we'll get this again when we're wrapping up, how do they get in touch with you? What's the easiest way of getting in touch?
To be honest,
no, perhaps you should bullshit everybody.
My website's in the process of being built properly. This was something that I haven't really announced yet. So this is kind of like a first time thing. So best bet is to just email me. You can email me at mattw@tagprints.com.
Okay.
Or you can Facebook Matt Windsor or Instagram Matt Windsor, message me there, and I'll get back to you. And like I said, as long as it's not in the Chicagoland area, I won't be able to, everything's fine. But I'm also going to be very particular about who I coach, as in it's only going to be one person from every market. So, I mean, that doesn't mean if you decide that it's not working for you and you want to go a different route, I can get someone else from that market. But if I'm working from you in that market, I will not work with anyone else.
Right. So you're paying for exclusivity.
Exactly. And it'll involve one-on-one meetings, and then additionally, me being able to help them during their whole process. So if they're stuck with a bride that's, stuck on something because of price, we can work together on creating a perfect response that would hopefully get that bride back, which I've done many, many, many times.
Gotcha. So, and they'll just Skype back and forth with you, and
Yep.
so it's almost like you're in their office.
Exactly. I want to learn, and I'll be doing a lot of work outside of our one-on-one meetings. I'm going to want you to send me everything, every piece of marketing material you have, everything you show the bride, during the sales process, because I'm going to want to work with you on creating hopefully better material for you.
Gotcha. Let's see. Gus posted, last weekend we are out of electricity for 30 minutes just before wedding party introductions. His wife was emceeing and talked loudly for the bridal party intros. They made it work. So I think he's
Awesome.
referencing the headache that I had. And we had that same type of a thing happen. I was in July, I was at a country club, and the whole area had a brownout, and I was on the phone getting a hold of somebody for bringing in a generator just so that we could have power for, everything else they could do. They had the ability to cook stuff still. They had the ability to serve drinks. It would have been a little warm in there, and they could have done everything romantically by candlelight. And we actually had battery-powered LEDs in the room, so it actually was going to not just be for a look, but for actual light. And so just as my buddy was getting into the truck to drive it out to me, all the power came back on, and that was it. So we've all had those DJ. What's your biggest DJ nightmare? What would you say your biggest thing?
Actually, the biggest DJ nightmare wasn't created by me. It was an interesting situation. Do you remember? I think they're still around. Victoria's in the Park.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a beautiful venue, very, very high end.
Right.
And where they have the DJs eat and the vendors eat are on the second floor. Okay. So during dinner, the maid of honor comes running up the stairs as fast as she can and says, "You need to get on the microphone and play a game or something." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, you got to get on the microphone and play a game." And I'm thinking to myself, I don't play games at weddings. I'm like, what does she want me to do? So I run downstairs really quickly. I'm like, what's going on? She says there's a fight outside. And the venue's all windows. All windows. That's it. I'm talking old, young, men, women, bridal party, brawling. Outside on the patio.
That's just 2 idiots, like a group full of idiots.
It's like 60 people fighting.
Wow.
And then the rest of the people are at the windows watching the fight. And the maid of honor is like, "You need to get on the microphone and do something." So I get on the microphone. I'm like, "All right, we're going to play a game. When did the bride and groom meet?" I didn't even know the answer. And I'm like, well, nobody's listening to me. So I just watched the fight. But the rest of the night was so challenging. It's like you could cut the tension in the room with a butter knife.
Wow.
And nobody danced. And it was horrible.
Yeah, I didn't have fights, but I had a situation about maybe 4 years ago. The bride wouldn't sign the prenup. And so 2 weeks before
we did that wedding together.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We did the lighting for that.
I remember that now that you say that. It was so cold. The bride wouldn't sign the prenup, and then must have at the last minute signed the prenup. And so like half the room had canceled their flights and everything. And so literally half the room was just, it just was, the whole mood of that room wasn't like, "Oh, I'm so happy for them." The whole room was kind of like, this is never going to last.
Right.
This is never, ever, ever going to last. So
I remember getting that email and seeing you on it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no, and I actually did that one personally downtown at the Sheridan, and
Yeah.
even their party planner quit, their video guy quit, because
Their photo booth company quit. We provided a photo booth.
Everybody had been paid, and
Yeah.
so they got canceled, and that was it. So, so that's all. But yeah, no, it was tough. I've had that. I haven't had fights really that I can think of. I found 2 grooms passed out from drinking too much. I've found I've had 2 heart attacks, one that died on the spot.
It's horrible.
Had a lot. You just kind of roll with it and you do what you got to do.
Yep.
I've had power outages before. I've had, air conditioning out. Air conditioning out in the summer is a tough one. That's a tough one. Different than being on a tent because of the fact that at least a tent, you just blame Mother Nature for it being warm and you can have the sides up. But when it's a private venue and you're in a sweatshop, it's a problem. It's a big time problem.
We one time I got there, I loaded in, and after I loaded in, a torrential downpour hit, and it flooded the venue like the front. Wow! So they had to go and get school buses to drive the people in the water, above the water, to get to the venue, and had them park in a neighborhood a mile down.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Jody Harris wants to know, Matt, who would you consider a mentor in your in this industry? Or I shouldn't even say this industry, just in general.
Oh man, there's so many mentors. I know I know everyone says the same thing, but Gary Vaynerchuk, I really look to him a lot. And what's funny about that is I watched Gary before he even became popular. My favorite video that I watch every single month is his 2011 Inc. Keynote. Okay. And I don't know if you know Jim Wise, right?
Yeah, sure.
Jim Wise introduced him to me 7-8 years ago, and I've always enjoyed him a lot. He's good for a pick me up in the industry. Jim Cerrone, I always looked up to. Out in Indianapolis, as I was growing my company. You can learn so much from KC.
Thank you.
He's seen so much and he's done so much for this industry. Being on these shows and building companies, he's great for that. And then another person locally, and not a lot of people know him, but you know him, Oliver Vasilopoulos.
Sure.
I consider him one of my mentors. Absolutely.
Okay. So like whatever he tells you to do, you do the opposite.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's Oliver. No, just kidding. Let's see. Jody also wants to know, what was the last business book you read?
That last business book I read was, I could probably go, what am I reading right now, actually? Well, I just read a book on emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Which is really good. A business book. I don't know. I'm really big into I'm taking a class actually, Six Sigma, Lean Six. So I've been reading about that a lot, which is basically an operations process on how to improve your operations side of your business.
Gotcha. And are you a podcasting guy? Do you find yourself listening to podcasts or not really?
I do listen to podcasts. I can probably pull up my podcasts and tell you what I listen to.
Well, you're pulling that out. Let's see. Gus said, had the AC go out. 3 units on the roof dead. They quickly got one back up. Wouldn't stay up. Had lots of sweaty dancers, but still lots of dancing regardless. Well, that's good, Gus. I'm trying to think. I think I'd rather have it cold, though, than hot. Because you can always leave a coat on, or ladies can wear a jacket, one of the men's jackets if they had to. But I don't know. I guess it depends on your geography. In San Diego, it doesn't matter because the weather there is perfect all the time. So that's just the way that it is. And boy, we are dead as a doornail on Facebook today, but we've got a few loyal listeners here on YouTube, so we appreciate that. So, what'd you find out for your podcast? Anything?
Okay, so I've got a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk in here.
Yeah.
there's another one that I really like, and I'm trying to remember this name of this podcast program that I use, and I can't find it right now.
You can post it on.
Yeah, I'll post it.
Yeah, that'll work. So, gotcha. Trying to think what else.
Well, I'm really big on reading about things like on the big picture and listening to things in the big picture. It's DJ things are important, photo booth things are important for me, but I love to hear about marketing in general. I like to listen about, everything in general.
Right. I think the biggest problem that our industry faces is people are so busy trying to book their next gig or their next wedding or their next thing that they're not trying to figure out how to see the big picture and how to grow the big picture.
Right.
And I get it. Trust me, as a guy who's got multiple businesses and we rob Peter to pay Paul all the time. The reality is that sometimes, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul and you're sweating. How are you going to get your next dollar in the door? And I get that more than anybody. But at the same point in time, I think you need to have a big picture concept. And part of that, whether you're a large company or small company, is you need to figure out where you want to be and then work backward. So if you want to be $1 million company, okay, and your average price is this much, that means you have to do X amount of dollars, which means if you're going to be a small company, you really have to push your extras. You can't let your customer go with just a basic 2-speaker DJ system.
Right.
Same point in time, if you choose to price yourself at a certain level, you realize there are far fewer Mercedes sold in this country than there are Hondas. And that's that, but you still need to know how to do the economics of it. And that's where I think a lot of DJs go, well, I'll just charge more, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And that's not it at all. So, so in my opinion, I think the DJs that are throwing everything into one package are the ones that are leaving a lot of money on the table.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially at detail time. Because if there's ever a time where you want to negotiate for uplights or all the extras, it's 2-3 weeks before the wedding when you're going through details. Because I just had, I think, $600 worth of details added to my wedding for, it might be this Saturday, actually, now that I think about it. I think we just added uplights and a monogram, and it came out to like $600. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean,
free money.
Crazy. It is. And if you own the gear, that's that. But see, here's the thing. If you throw it into your big package, you've got no place to go because it's already in the big package. And a lot of DJs are charging for the big package what most professional DJs are selling a medium-sized package for. So,
and another thing is, I'm a really big fan on never discounting your main service. So if you're a DJ company, and brides would be like, do you offer discounts? It's not on our service. Like, I always say, it's a great value for what you're paying for. And then if they want all the upgrades and it's going to be a bigger, larger wedding where we're able to do stuff, I can start discounting extras from there, but I'll never discount my main service.
Your core.
Sure. Yourself a disservice.
Sure. Well, that's no different than a nice steakhouse will buy you a cocktail, but they're not going to give you a discount on their prime steak.
Exactly.
So, David said, Matt, check out Invisible Touch, The 4 Keys to Modern Marketing by Harry Beckwith. I've actually read that book. It's a very good book. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a very, very good book. So, so we've got about 5 minutes left. So what's coming up for Matt in the near future? What have you got going on this weekend or anything exciting? Are you at the World Series with your booths?
Yeah, I believe we are. We've got a lot going on. I'm out of touch. So I focus on our custom developments. So we just did something for, I don't know if you've ever seen if you saw the movie, I'm sure you haven't. But the Smallfoot, which is a new movie that came out, a cartoon movie. So we did the official Yeti Village out in LA for 30 days. And now we're working on something else for Aquaman. So we'll be doing their official releases at all the theaters across the United States. So
very good.
Working hard to do that.
So how many theaters will you be in then when you say that?
It's going to be 10 theaters throughout from now all the way till release date. So it's going to be like different theaters every single week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All over the country.
All over the country.
Got it. Very good. All right.
What about you? You working this weekend?
I am. For those of you who don't know, I bought a casual catering business that does primarily hot dog carts, popcorn carts, and I am actually going out Friday night to oversee and train and I don't need to be the guy in the trenches, but I need to know the guy in the trenches job, inside
Right.
and out, up, down, sideways. So last week we did our first job for 500 people down at the Merchandise Mart for a corporate event with people from all over the country. This weekend we have a wedding on Friday night. Saturday night I'm actually DJing with my nephew at a wedding. Sunday we have a bridal show, our second to the last of the season at the Embassy Suites in Naperville. And Sunday night I'm going to sleep really, really well. So
Nice.
So that's where I'm at. That's where my head is at, and that's what's going on in my world. So so we're busy. The guys are out, the photographers out, everybody's out doing their thing. So
Nice.
Yep, no complaints there whatsoever.
Awesome.
So now I can't remember. John, are you here? John, are you back?
Yep, I'm here.
Are you okay? I can't remember, and I know that Brian let us know. Am I looking for another co-host next week, or is Brian back?
He is, I think, gone for a couple of weeks. I think it's mid-November when he's finally back.
Okay. So if anybody wants to, we'll throw it out there. If anybody wants to be my co-host, make sure that you shoot John and I a note. And I hate to say, like, not necessarily the why, like you're not qualified. I hate that kind of thing. But if you have something that you think you can contribute to our audiences, then I would love to have somebody interesting, somebody different. I don't care if you've never spoken at a show, never written an article, never done anything. If you think that you've got something interesting to share, I'm sure John would be up for a new and up and comer. What do you think, John?
Well, otherwise we can talk wrestling.
Oh, wrestling's awesome. All right. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Won't do much for our DJ audience, but boy, we could talk.
Oh, good. Jody's excited now. If we talked wrestling and Jody wasn't the person on it, you'd have to hide.
There would
the
be,
next time
yes.
you saw her.
Yeah, so we could not do that.
Yeah. So, but there's that. And then, folks, we announced today that we have a new home for the Marquee show here in Chicago. We're going to be at the Westin Wheeling, Chicago North Shore, which is an absolutely gorgeous hotel. It's about 20 minutes north of where we were before, but we're going to be taking on a large ballroom, and we're going to have 80. We have the ability to do 7 demo rooms as well as 80 vendors, in addition to our educational track. So it's pretty exciting stuff. We're going to be taking it to the next level. So we hope that you guys will come check it out. Follow us on Facebook. And then we're also at Bally's coming up in March. And that's about it, folks. So a couple of weeks, we're going to be announcing our I was happy this week. Alan Cabasso from Alan Rose Floyd Audio. Wait, Alan Cabasso from
Floyd
Sacred
Rose.
Group Floyd Rose Audio donated 2 different sets of headphones for our charity auction. And then our good friends at Virtual DJ also donated a license. And I just got a really nice box of stuff from Serato not too long ago. So we're getting there. We're growing, getting it little by little. So we're going to be announcing that probably in the next week or so that I've got money from you fine folks right after the Thanksgiving holiday so that we can buy toys and go from there. So that's everything. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see you next Thursday night. If you enjoyed the show, my name's KC. If you thought it was horrible, my name's Mike Walter, my co-host Joe Bunn. You guys have yourselves a good night. We'll see you soon. Good night and God bless.